Hello and welcome to Middlesex University's video guide to completing a Tier 4 visa application. This guide will take you step by step through the whole process of completing the online application form. Before you start, please make sure that you have all the correct supporting documents. You're going to need your current and or previous passport and a residence permit if you're applying from a country that you're not a national of. You're going to need your CAS, Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies. This will have been emailed to you by Middlesex University. And you'll need the financial evidence. That could be bank statements, loan letters, a financial sponsorship letter, and possibly your birth certificate and an authorization letter. That's if you're using your parents' bank account. Any document which is not in English will need to have a translation. Okay. You also need the original qualifications, academic qualifications listed in the CAS. Okay, so check your CAS for the documents, the academic documents upon which we have based your offer. You might need an English language certificate, an IELTS certificate, and you may need a tuberculosis test certificate. You're also going to need 2 photographs. As well as those documents, you need certain information. You need the name, address and visa details, if applicable, of any relatives already living in the UK. You need the name and address of your accommodation, where you're planning to live when you first arrive in the UK. It might be a hotel, it might be a hall of residence, it could be with a friend, it could be private rented accommodation. You need the address. Details of any previous trips abroad. You may need to complete that information on the form. And you'll need a credit or a debit card in order to pay for the national health surcharge and also for the visa application itself. Note that the form changes slightly as it adapts to the answers you've just given. If you log out, it will also automatically save any information that you've already inputted. So use this video as a guidance and use your own circumstances to complete the form correctly. The form is split into a number of sections, so you're going to need to click on the time code for the one that you're actually looking for, or of course you can follow them through one by one to complete the whole form. Section 1, creating a profile. You'll only need to do that once. Section 2, your personal details, details of your CAS, and your address. Section 3, details of your passport, your current immigration status, and travel details. Section 4, English language evidence. Section 5, dependents and family details. Section 6, details of your travel and your accommodation. Section 7, your immigration history, any criminal offences, and details of employment. Section 8, your Tier 4 sponsor, that's Middlesex University, your course details, and your financial evidence. Section 9, additional information, the declaration, that's the last chance to review your application and confirm that everything you've inputted is correct. Section 10, the immigration health surcharge and the payment for that. Section 11, your biometric residence permit pickup. That's the card that you'll need to collect either from the university or from a post office once you've arrived in the UK. And Section 12, payment and appointment booking. To start your application, you're going to need to navigate to www.gov.uk. And then you'll see a tab, Visas and Immigration. Visas, Asylum and Sponsorship. Okay, click on that Visas and Immigration tab, and that's going to take you through to a page where you choose Student Visas. So scroll down till you find Student Visas, and then on the next page, Tier 4 General Student Visa. Click on Apply. And then choose the option Apply from outside of the UK. choose Tier 4 General Student Visa. And then you need to tell them where you're making your visa application from. Note also that if you apply from the wrong location, your application will be refused, even if everything else is correct. Once you've inserted the country, the location that you intend to apply from, you can't change it. So if you make a mistake, I'm afraid you have to start the whole thing again. Okay, so you need to enter the country where you are going to be applying from. Generally, that needs to be your home country, the country of your nationality. If you have more than one passport, use the nationality that is given in the CAS. Using the drop-down menu, choose the country and then the location. A new page will appear with all the locations where you can go for an appointment, to do your biometrics and to hand in your documents and to do the credibility interview. So choose one that's near your home. And then click on the option. I can go to an appointment at one of these visa application centres. Note that the application form does not allow you to add any dependents, spouse or children who might be accompanying you during your studies. Dependent applications are made separately. Okay, now you need to enter an email address where the UKVI can contact you. So choose an email that you will continue to use for a while. The UKVI might well contact you by email in the future. You'll need to choose a password. That has to be at least 8 characters. It needs to include at least one letter and one number or symbol. Okay, so now you need to complete section 2. That's your personal details, details of your CAS, and your address or addresses. Okay, so complete your given names. Your given name is your first name, and your family name is your surname. Okay, if you're not clear about that, or if you don't have a surname or family name, click on the box, I'm not sure how to enter my name. And then you can choose, I do not have both a given and family name. Okay, this will provide you with a new box where you can enter the name as it's stated in your passport. It's now going to ask you, have you ever been known by another name? Tick yes only if you have legally changed your name, perhaps because you've got married or adopted. The question, do you have a confirmation of acceptance for studies number? You need to click yes to this and enter the CAS number. Okay, so we've sent you a CAS by email. You'll see the CAS number, it starts E4. Make sure the details in the CAS, your name, your date of birth, the course start date and the course end date are correct. It may well be difficult to change the details once the visa is issued, and this may involve some considerable expense. Okay, so double check the CAS, make sure all the details are correct. If your CAS has not been issued, you can click no and continue with filling in the other sections. But you're going to need to go back and complete the CAS number before paying. If you make an application without a CAS number, it will be refused. Okay, now you need to complete your home address. It asks you about your postal code. Okay, so that could be a zip code, a postcode, a CAP, NPA, CEP or PIN number, depending on which country you're living in. And your phone number. And then it asks you how long you've been living there. And answer as accurately as you can. If you're not sure, just round up the time to the nearest whole number. It asks you about the basis on which you live there, whether you own it, you rent it, whether you live with your family, and so forth. Now you need to complete section 3. That covers your passport, immigration status and travel details. So first of all, tell them your gender. Male, female, or unspecified. It will ask you about your relationship status. Choose whichever one of those applies to you. Okay. Enter in your country of nationality, your date of birth, your country of birth, and your place of birth. Then look at your passport and enter the details of your passport or travel document. The passport number, the place of issue, the issue date, and the expiry date. If you have more than one passport, you need to provide the details. In the question, do you have another passport or travel document? Select yes or no. If you select yes, it will ask you for the details of the other passports you hold. And then it asks you, do you have a national identity card? If you have an ID card but you don't have it with you, then you can click no. Also click no if your country does not issue a national ID card. And you now need to put in the date that you plan to arrive in the United Kingdom. Okay. The immigration rules state that if you're successful with your visa application, your visa start date will either be 1 month before your course start date, as set out in your CAS, or 7 days before you plan to arrive in the UK, whichever is the later. Okay, so if you're applying in good time, you will get a visa that starts a month before the course start date. If you're applying later, tell them when you're going to arrive, and your visa will start 7 days before that. You need to state how long you intend to stay in the UK. Base that answer on the end date of your CAS. Do not say you're going to stay here longer than that, or your visa may well be refused. The next question is, are you coming to the UK to study at a higher education institution? So Middlesex University is a higher education institution. You need to tick the box that says yes. And then it asks you about whether the university has assessed your English language ability. Okay, so if Middlesex University has assessed your English language ability by previous studies, for instance, it'll be stated in your CAS, and you can tick the box yes. If, however, your CAS states that you are providing an IELTS certificate, then you tick the box that says no. And another box will appear which asks you for details of your IELTS for UKVI visa test. Okay, so now you've moved on to section 5. That asks about dependents and details of your family. So, the first question, does anyone rely on you for financial support? You need to give details of anybody who's travelling with you to the UK, if anybody, but also those who are not. Be aware that one of the conditions of your visa is that you and your family have enough money to support yourself during the period of your studies in the UK without having to work. It asks you whether these dependents will be included in your application. Okay, so be aware that only students who are studying a postgraduate course for over 12 months or a student who is sponsored by his or her government who is studying for over 6 months are able to bring dependents with them to the UK. Now you need to provide the details about your parents. Give details of the first parent, the name and surname of the parent, their date of birth, the nationality, and whether they have ever had another nationality. Once you've completed that, do the same for the other parent. Then it's going to ask you, do you have any family in the UK? And you need to give them details of any members of your immediate family who are already here. And the form will require you to give details of their visa status and their passport number. Make sure you've got this information to hand. You must disclose as much information as you're able to. If you're not able to get in touch with the relatives, click the box that says yes, and then I cannot contact my relative. You then need to explain on the form why that is. So then there's a question, will you be travelling to the UK with someone who is not your partner, spouse or dependent? This is the right time to let the UKVI know if someone is coming over for a little while to help you settle. If you're coming on your own, just tick the box that says no. Section 6, travelling and accommodation. Okay, so the first question they're going to ask you, do you have an address for where you're going to stay in the UK? If you're planning to live in one of the university's halls of residence, make sure you've got the correct postal address. It'll be in the contract that's been sent to you, or you can find it on our website. If you haven't got permanent accommodation yet and perhaps have booked a hotel or a hostel, put in those details. But if you still don't know where you're going to be living, if you've applied for accommodation and haven't had a response yet, you can always put in the university address. Okay, you'll find that in your CAS. But if you know where you're going to be living, give those details. You need to enter the details of when you're going to arrive there. And if you know, the details of when you're going to leave there. So if you've booked your flight, give the details of when you're planning to arrive in the UK. Otherwise, just estimate the dates. For the leaving date, use the course end date in your CAS. Section 7, immigration history, criminal offences and employment. It asks you how many times have you been to the UK in the last 10 years. If you choose anything other than 0, then a new box will appear. And you need to put in the information as to how many times and when you've arrived. Okay? You need to provide the details of the purpose, whether it was tourism, business, study, transit or some other reason. If you've previously been in the UK, for example as a tourist, you will need to provide previous visa or flight booking details, perhaps hotel reservations, to help fill in these boxes. You must make an effort to declare as many trips as you can remember. It's important you give full and accurate details. The form asks you, have you been issued with a UK visa in the past 10 years? If you answer yes to this question, a new box will appear and you need to enter those details. And it asks you about previous visits to Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the USA or the Schengen area. Again, if you answer anything other than 0, a new box appears and you put in the details of your previous visits. The form asks you about previous refusals, whether you've ever been deported or removed from the UK, required to leave, or refused entry at a UK border. If you answer yes to any of those questions, you need to provide additional information. such as the dates of the refusal, details of what happened. If you don't remember, check your refusal letter or speak with one of our advisors. If you've been refused a visa and you don't have a refusal letter, we can get hold of a copy for you. The form asks whether you've been refused a visa for any country other than the UK, deported from another country, removed from another country, required to leave another country, or refused entry at the border of any other country. Again, if you answer yes to this question, you need to provide further details, the dates of the refusals, details of what happened. Okay. Again, if you don't have the full details, if you can't remember, you don't have your refusal letter, speak to one of our advisors. Be aware that a previous visa refusal or a crime or penalty does not mean that the visa will automatically be refused. But if it's found out that you have deliberately failed to disclose this information, then you could be seen as having deceived the UKVI. And if the UKVI believe that you've used deception in a visa application, potentially you will be barred from making any future visa applications for up to 10 years. So again, it's really important that you provide accurate and full information. If you're at all unsure, speak to one of our advisors. So, have you at any time ever had any of the following in the UK or in another country? A criminal conviction, a penalty for a driving offence, an arrest or charge which you are currently on or awaiting trial, a caution, warning, reprimand or other penalty, a civil court judgment against you for example, non-payment of a debt, bankruptcy proceedings or antisocial behaviour, any kind of civil penalty issued under UK immigration law. If none of those applies, choose the box No, I have never had any of these. The application form asks you whether, in either peace or war times, you've ever been involved in or suspected of involvement in war crimes, crimes against humanity, or genocide. You need to answer this question yes or no. Have you ever been involved in, supported or encouraged terrorist activities in any country? Again, you need to choose yes or no. And have you, by any means or medium, expressed views that justify or glorify terrorist violence or that may encourage others to commit terrorist or other criminal acts? You need to answer this question yes or no. It's really important that you disclose all the relevant information. And if you have any questions or doubts, please contact one of our advisors. The form will ask you about certain types of previous employment or involvement. You need to be transparent about your involvement in any of these organisations. If you've never worked in any of these kinds of organisations, you can click No. Section 8. Your Tier 4 sponsor, that's Middlesex University, your course details and your financial evidence. You'll need your CAS to get the information to fill in the next section. It starts asking you, what is your sponsor number? Okay, that's on your CAS. B3HTJ3ME8. That sponsor license number is specific to Middlesex University. You need to make sure that you input it carefully and correctly. Your sponsor's name and address: Middlesex University, the boroughs, Hendon, London, and the postcode NW4 4BT. The form asks you, are you studying at a school or higher education institution? Click the box for higher education institution. And it asks you whether the details you've just inputted for the address is the site where the majority of your studies will take place. You need to click the box that says yes. The form asks you whether you've applied for your course through UCAS. That's the Universities and Colleges Admission Service. Answer yes or no. If you click yes, the form will ask you to input your UCAS personal identification number. The form asks you then whether you need an ATAS certificate. Do you need to obtain permission to study this course from ATAS? Look at your CAS. If the section on ATAS is blank, then you do not need an ATAS certificate, and you can tick the box that says no. If you do need an ATAS certificate, you will see the details of that on your CAS, so tick yes and complete those details on the visa form. The form asks you about financial sponsorship. You need to be clear about what financial sponsorship means in this context. It is not the same as receiving money from your family members. Your parents may be supporting you financially, but as far as the UKVI are concerned, that is not sponsorship. So official sponsorship can only come from the UK government or your own government or an agency of that government, from a university or from an international company or organisation. So if you have a scholarship, internship, fellowship or training programme funded by one of those organisations, tick the box that says yes. The next question asks you, how will you evidence that financial sponsorship? So if you're being sponsored by the UK government, your own government, a university, an international company or organisation, then you need to say how that is going to be evidenced. It might be that it's evidenced on your CAS. Your Tier 4 sponsor, the university, might have confirmed that on the CAS. You may have a letter of official financial sponsorship. The form now asks you about maintenance funds. You need to show that you have sufficient money to cover your course fees and your living expenses. Your course fees will be stated on your CAS. Your living expenses will normally be £11,385. The UKVI estimate that a student studying in London requires £1,265 per month, and the immigration rules require that you provide evidence of that finance for up to 9 months. Remember that you can only evidence the funds with a bank statement if that bank statement is in your name or your parents' name. So the first question the form asks you is, are all of the maintenance funds required for this application in a bank account with your name on it? If you click no, then you're going to need to provide the details of your parents, or whichever parent's name the bank statement is in. The form asks you the name of your sponsor institution, which is Middlesex University. It asks you your course name and the qualification that you will get. This information will be on your CAS. Just copy it from the CAS. The course start date and the course end date. Again, that's on your CAS. Just copy the information from there. The form then asks you, have you or your parents or legal guardians already paid any money to your sponsor for accommodation? Remember, this is only money paid to the university. It does not include money that you might have paid in advance to a private landlord or other housing organisation. So if you've paid money to the university for accommodation, include the details there. The form asks you, what are the course fees for your first year? Again, you will find that information on the CAS. It asks you, have you or your parents already paid any of the course fees? You may well have paid a fee deposit. You need to state that on the application form. And then again, it asks you, how will you prove that this amount has been paid? It's really important that you insert the correct course fee as stated in the CAS and the correct amount of fee deposit already paid as stated in the CAS. Make sure that you submit the original receipts for any fee payments. And if you pay any fees after your CAS has been issued, contact cas@mdx.ac.uk so that the details on the CAS can be updated. Section 9. Additional information, declaration, and the last chance to review your application. Once you go past this point, you're not going to be able to change your answers. So make sure that you've checked all the information, that everything is correct before you go forward. If you realise that you've made a mistake after this page, I'm afraid you have to make a new application. You have to go through all of this again. Okay, so first of all, do you need to add any information about your application that you haven't been able to so far in the form? You've got 1,000 characters in which to add anything that you think is relevant, which the form hasn't already asked you about. Okay, so now check your answers. Go through everything, step by step, and check that it's correct. Your personal information, the information about your sponsor. And the information about your financial evidence and other documents. It asks you to accept the terms and conditions, the privacy policy and terms and conditions of the application. Read that before you click I accept the above. Once you click that box, you can't change anything, so make sure that everything is correct. Okay, the form will now tell you if there's anything missing. Is there anything that you were required to provide that you haven't already? Go back and insert anything that's missing. Section 10, Immigration Health Surcharge and the payment. Make sure you've got a debit card or a credit card to hand, and if it's not your card, the permission of the account holder. First of all, to pay the National Health Surcharge. That's the money that you pay for the use of National Health Service facilities while you're studying in the UK. If you're ready, go to the IHS website. Scroll down until you find a green box. It says Continue. Click on that. A new page will appear with any missing details that you need to complete. Click on anything that's in red and input any missing information. The form now asks you about your location. Are you applying from the UK? You need to answer no to that. If you are applying from the UK, I'm afraid you're using the wrong form, and you need to start again using a different form that allows you to apply from within the United Kingdom. This form is for applicants outside of the UK. And it also asks you, are you applying to stay in the Isle of Man, Jersey or Guernsey? Again, you need to click no. Okay, now it asks you some questions about your course. Is your course at NQF 7? Is your course a master's degree? Tick the relevant box, yes or no. Is your course at any of these locations, the University of Oxford, the University of Cambridge, University of Bath or Imperial College? Okay, you are applying to Middlesex University, so you need to tick the box that says no. And then it asks you, is your course for 13 months or longer? Check the details on your CAS and select yes or no. So you should now see a page which summarises the information you've provided to enable the UKVI to calculate how much immigration health surcharge you need to pay. And you need to complete a declaration that the information you've given is correct. Once you've clicked I agree, a new box will appear telling you how much your immigration health surcharge is. Click on Pay Now and it will direct you to a page where you input your card details and make the payment. Once you've paid the immigration health charge, you'll be given a reference number and a receipt will be sent to the email address that you inputted earlier. Okay, now you need to scroll down and click on the box that says Return to my visa application. Right, you've now nearly finished your application, so follow the rest of the video guide for the final steps. You need to pay for the application itself. You'll need your debit card or credit card to do that. Make that payment and you'll then be asked where you want to pick up your BRP. Your BRP is your biometric residence permit. Applying from outside of the UK, you'll initially be granted a 28-day visa to travel to the UK. That visa takes the form of a paper sticker in your passport and it tells you when you can travel to the United Kingdom, not more than 28 days before your course start date. Once you're in the UK, you need to collect the biometric residence permit, which acts as your visa for the rest of your course. That's a credit card sized plastic card which you collect either from the university or from a post office somewhere near where you are going to be living. We would suggest that you collect it from the university. In order to do that, fill in the code that you will find on your CAS. That will enable the UKVI to send your BRP directly to us, and you can collect it from us as part of your registration process. If you don't do that, if you don't use that code, the UKVI will arrange to send your BRP to a local post office, and you'll have to find your way there to collect it shortly after you arrive here in the UK. The final step is to arrange an appointment to go in to a visa application centre, to take in your documents for them to scan, to hand in your passport for them to attach the visa. They'll do your biometrics, your fingerprints and your photograph. And that's also the point at which you'll do a credibility interview. So that's the interview conducted with a UKVI official while you're in the visa application centre. So choose which centre you're going to go to, and you'll see a list of available appointments. Choose an appointment that's convenient for you. And then go there at the appropriate time, taking with you all your original documents. If you have any original documents that are not in an A4 format, also take with you an A4 copy of those documents. You need all the originals, but they may not scan something which is larger than A4 or smaller than A4. So you need an A4 copy plus the original. They will compare the two, certify the copy as a genuine copy, and scan that. Hopefully you have already had some training and information about the credibility interview. If not, make sure that you look at the information on the university webpage, www.mdx.ac.uk/visa, and click on the link that says Preparing for your credibility interview. If you're well prepared, you should have no difficulty. If you are called back for a second interview, get in touch with one of our advisors straight away. We can try to understand what the UKVI are not satisfied with, why they want to speak to you again, and perhaps do some more preparation. It doesn't mean that you're going to get a visa refusal, but it does mean that there's something they're not fully satisfied with. So we need to try to make sure that you're really well prepared for a second interview. But hopefully everything will go well, and we'll see you here in Hendon shortly before your course is due to start. Good luck. See you soon.